Hey guys, it's Mr. Possible, or as I like to refer to myself, the albino rhino. So today I'm talking to you about how I'm feeling lately. So my day is starting out a little like the video where I talked about I didn't really want to do anything, I didn't want to get out of bed. Now I've already done my workout, and I've really been focusing on my goals lately. And as I focus on my, after reading Phil Hellmuth's Positivity, I really realized that I really didn't know my long-term goals. I didn't know my life goals. I said, I want to be a professional poker player, but why? What is driving me to be a professional poker player? It's not fame. It's not stardom. I've had those things. I've had my 15 minutes in fame. I've owned a hosting company that was doing really well. I've made, a lot of money. What it is financial independence. And I realized that yesterday I don't know if you saw on my Facebook, but I posted what would my daily goals be. And I really wanted to get my taxes done before the 18th. And I wondered, why did that bother me so much? I'm not really, scared about that. I don't really have any issues with having an extension, or why did I want to do that? And when I really sat there and I meditated and I thought about it, I realized that it was because I want to be financially independent. I don't want to owe anyone. I don't want to have anything that I am responsible for. And I feel like if I'm financially independent, then I can be free. Then I can openly say what it is I want to say and not have some kind of financial repercussions. So I think that's ultimately what they just want to be free. They want to be able to express themselves. But something was stopping me from doing my taxes. And I kind of want to talk about that as well. And that's dread. And what's interesting about the dread is, the dread was, if you do your taxes, you'll find out that it's really, really bad. And that will be the end of the world. That's what the dread voice said. That's what kept saying it. And because I read Eat That Frog, and it said set a goal and carry out the action, I did my taxes yesterday. But what's really interesting about actually going through my taxes is that it did turn out very similar to what I dreaded, but it wasn't as bad. I was already prepared for it. I was talking to my fiance this morning on our walk, and I said, why is that? Why is it that dread is more powerful in the moment than the actual thing occurring? And I think that's very important. So it's time to be real here. I'm actually dreading going to play poker, which is, again, really strange. And the thoughts come up of, what if you lose your bankroll? What if you don't have the money to do it? What if what if it's all fake? What if you're an imposter? What if? And this dread handcuffs me to not go play poker. Phil Hellmuth talks about, in Positivity, he talks about opening doors. So if you go and play poker, when you open a door, there's always an opportunity. Maybe you go and play poker and you lose your bankroll, and that's what teaches you how to control your bankroll. Or maybe you go and play poker and you win a lot of money, and then you have more in your bankroll. Or maybe you go and play poker and you meet someone and you never would have met. So it's just, there's always opportunity. Opportunity in action, no matter what the action is. Take the case of Dr. Seuss. It's well known that Dr. Seuss's first book was refused by many publishers. And he was very distraught and frustrated, but still going to publishers. And one day he was out after being rejected by one publisher. He was walking down the side of the street, came upon a guy and said, "This is trash, apparently. Just go ahead and burn it." Gave his book to this guy. Well, it turns out that guy worked for a famous publisher and ended up publishing him. And that's how you know Dr. Seuss today. Now you might say, well, that's just inadvertent. That's accidental. Yeah, but it's still action. If he had just sat in his house and said, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to go to the publisher, I'm not going to follow through with that, then he wouldn't be where he is today. His books would not be as successful as they are today, and many children wouldn't be as entertained as they are today. So action, as Ruth Soukup says in Do It Scared, is the antidote to fear. Action is the antidote to fear. So again, getting back to poker, today, I just feel like inside, I'm just like, well, what if I do this? Or what if I do that? What if this doesn't go right? And so what I'm trying to focus on now is, of course I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to put the action and all of that. But why? Where does this come from? Where does that fear and that dread come from? Because I think it's essential to know. I think if you can figure out where it's coming from, then you can cut it off before it starts to overwhelm you. And I know a lot of people out there have this anxiety, this dread, this fear in their lives that handcuffs them from doing things. And, these books are really good at describing what you can do, but where does that come from? And in me, I'm a, fairly motivated person. And where does my fear come from? So I started to analyze it, and I'm like, well, why am I scared if this thing doesn't happen? What does that matter? And I think it actually goes back to, and this is all just on the fly right now, but as I soundboard to you, I think it goes back to control. I'm afraid of not being able to control something. Deep down inside, my little boy is like, you can't anticipate what's going to happen. But is that such a bad thing, really? I mean, let's just go through the scenarios. I go and I lose my entire bankroll. Okay. Will I learn from my lessons? I've learned through my life that if that happens, I can improve off of whatever it is. That's worst case scenario, right? Or I go and I just have an okay day. But there's always other opportunities there. Maybe I'll meet someone. Maybe the cards, I'll play a hand differently, or I'll get an opportunity to take something I learned in training and put it into real effect. Maybe, who knows what could happen? Maybe someone will bestow some wisdom on me that I don't know, because I do believe that you can learn, and I'm going to do a video about this soon. I do believe you can learn positive things from anyone, including people you don't like. So maybe all of those things will happen. And I think that is the way to cut this off at the root. When you start to being like, I don't want to do this or whatever, and that's negative self-talk, you're, well, what if I could do this? What if this does happen? What if, this scenario happens? And that's when I started to think, well, our brain is a super powerful thing. And if you send it down one track for most of your life, that you're always regretting and fearing and thinking the worst is going to happen, which, by the way, is improbable. Because if the worst is only a tiny sliver of all the things that could possibly happen, you're not going to hit that percentage all the time. In fact, you're going to hit this percentage more of the time. So what if your brain is able to actually generate what you're thinking and what you think will come to pass? And the way it does that is it handcuffs you from doing what you want to do. So instead of visualizing positive things, you're visualizing negative things. So your default is, I could lose the tournament. I could lose my bankroll. I could, if. But instead, you change that so that you're visualizing, I could win the tournament. It's a very likely outcome. I could place high. I could meet someone that's going to influence me. I could learn off of this. I think that once we rebuild this tape in our minds, and it's something, I'm an extremist. So from my point of view, if you're learning something new, you should do it hardcore. I don't believe in balance. I think balance is complete BS. I think balance is something you will attain with wisdom. You'll attain balance in your decisions, but balance in action doesn't really amount to anything. I've never seen it anyway. I mean, Einstein wasn't balanced, all of the achievers. Steve Jobs was not balanced. They're all extremists. They all went hardcore to get what they wanted. So where was I? Yeah, so I believe if we're going to do this, that we should do it constantly. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, and not just thought loops, not just I'm awesome or whatever, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you should start filling your head. I'm going to expand upon David Goggins' concept of the cookie jar. You should start filling your head not only with who you are, but of the things that could happen to you in the day. And you should start visualizing the things that could happen. And let me tell you a story of how I realized that this concept really is powerful. So after my divorce, a lot of stories begin after my divorce, because really my life begins after divorce. I can't remember what I read, but it was definitely something regarding visualization. And the concept in the book was, if you think about negative things, the negative will come. If you think about positive things, then positive will come. And by the way, I was like, this is horse rubbish. Like this is terrible. Like, how is that possible, right? I mean, this is some foo-foo stuff. But in reality, it makes a lot of sense with brain chemistry. So I struggled every day to go to work. I would be on the freeway and someone would cut me off, and it was just a miserable time for me. And then when I got to work, I would go to the parking garage. The first floor was always full, and I'd end up parking on the 5th floor. Then begrudgingly, I'd walk all the way down, and I'd go into the building, and my boss would have a problem, and it would just be terrible. And this is pretty much how I lived my life. I complained, I went outside, I gossiped, and it just went on and on and on. So this book said, if you think it's possible, then it will be. So I was like, yeah, right. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive to work, and I'm going to expect to be able to park on the first floor. So I drove to work, and the book says, don't give up, right? I mean, this is what the book said. So I drove to work. The first floor is packed. I'm like, you know what the heck? I'm going to give it a couple goes around. And do you know that I went around twice, and then the parking spot freed up, and I parked on the first floor. And because I parked on the first floor, I didn't have to walk all the way down the stairs. Because I didn't have to walk all the way down the stairs, I had a great time. It was awesome. My day had started great. I then, got in and greeted people, talked to my boss about his weekend. And all of a sudden, this one action changed the entire day for me. Chaos theory, right? This one thing changed events. So if this one positive thing can change your day to be positive, isn't it true that the one negative thing could change your day? You could allow it to change your thing, change your day to be an entire negative day. Well, yes, it is. Now, here's the thing. As I did that more and more and more and more, and I programmed myself, and notice that when I'm already saying I've already worked on this aspect of my life, which was business and, going to work and doing it there, I didn't apply it to poker. And this is common, that you don't apply it to all aspects of your life. And you will have to figure out, I did this thing over here, I can do it over here, but it's not a natural thing to do. So you just keep going through this process where you recognize it and then you use your tools in the toolbox. But the interesting thing is, years later, if this situation had happened to me, I would have handled it completely different. If I had went to work and there was nothing on the first floor and I ended up parking on the 5th floor, my brain would have said, well, I'm getting more exercise to go in, and this is going to be better for my body. It's called accidental exercise, when you park far away from something and you walk to it. And then my brain would have said, well, now that I have more exercise, I have more energy. And this whole thing, and I still would have had a positive day years later because I learned to look at things from a positive perspective. There were times I actually broke down and I'm like, hey, this is great. I get to chill out and relax and have fun. Or I'd be in traffic and I'd play my music loud and jam out and have a great time while everybody else was frustrated. I realized that my brain controls how I feel. So if I'm able to control my brain, I can control my feelings. I can control my emotional responses. I can control it. It takes time. It's like a muscle. You have to build it out, just like you do doing exercises. But it does happen. So years later, it wouldn't even have mattered if the first negative thing that I perceived as negative happened. So I can take this lesson back and I can apply it to how I feel right now. But I wouldn't have thought to do that naturally, as I said. So from now on, my goal will be, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to start loading myself with positive things that could happen throughout the day. It was another interesting thing is this book, and it might have been The Secret, it might have been something. And again, I think you can take something from anything. So this idea that, this is a bad thing and you can't learn something from it, I think is complete rubbish. And I've proven it throughout my life. And I will do a video about that. But I think it was The Secret. And The Secret said, if you expect bills in your mailbox, then you'll get bills. If you expect money, then you'll get money. And you know what? It's absolutely true. I have found this to be. Now, I can't say it's a mystical power or a force that you're pushing, or I don't know what it is. It's very possible it's just brain chemistry. Perhaps when you expect things in your mailbox to be money, you start to do things that generate money. Perhaps when you expect bills, you start to do things subconsciously that generate negativity. It's very possible that's the case, like not paying your bills, like dreading paying your bills. True story. I once won a poker tournament, or I'm sorry, it was a bad beat jackpot for $55,000. And I did a lot of good things with that money. One thing I didn't do was pay taxes. Well, the IRS came to me and said, hey, where's our, $14,000 or whatever it was? And I said, oh yeah, no. And I ignored them because I dreaded it. I dreaded finding out that I owed money. I dreaded how I was going to have to pay it. I dreaded all of that stuff. I dreaded it. And so years went by and I wanted to buy a house. Now I found out I owed $50,000. I had set up an IRS payment plan and sometimes I paid it, sometimes I didn't. But I didn't understand how that would affect me. I ended up owing $50,000 to buy this house and I had to pay off $50,000. And that was all because I ignored it. I didn't do anything, I just ignored the bills. I ignored the phone calls. And even after they took money from my account, I just set up a payment plan. I never really addressed what was causing it. I caused that though. Instead of taking that win and making it into a positive and paying the IRS right away and saying, oh, it's positive because I'm a responsible tax-paying citizen and this is what we do in this country, I took it and I didn't pay the taxes. I didn't prepare myself. So I really think that when you, the new goal that I'm going to do every day, and again, this is a muscle, so I'm going to report it back to Facebook, I'm going to report it back on these videos, is I'm going to start to say, what are the positive things that could happen to me? I could win a bad beat jackpot. And that's actually not a positive thing for me because I don't want to win in poker winning some kind of jackpot. I want to win in poker with my skills, but that's the point. Any number of things could happen to me today that are positive. And in fact, across the scale of things that will happen and the things that I think will happen, there are far more things that will happen that I don't think happen. So this brings me to the whole point of everything. It's attaching myself to an outcome and visualizing the outcome in my head. I am going to visualize different outcomes when I wake up in the morning that are positive, and I'm going to flood my life with positivity. And I will let you know how it works. I'm positively going to visualize that I'm going to get thousands of viewers on YouTube, and maybe that makes me work harder. Whatever it causes my brain to do. But again, so if you're doing something right now and you're negative about it, and this happens, I've been working out for a while, I'm not seeing changes in the scale, or, I'm not eating, fast food anymore, I'm not losing weight, or, I'm living with someone, I want to get divorced and this process isn't going fast enough, or, I can't get a promotion at work, or, the traffic is terrible, or whatever it may be. Spin it, reframe. Reframing is a great concept. Instead of, I'm not getting a promotion at work, it's, what are the opportunities that I can do to impress my boss? Or, instead of, there's traffic outside, this is some time for me to take for myself. I can sing, I can do things. Just spin, reframe everything. There's been times that I broke down on the side of the road that I have reframed it to, this is a mini vacation for me. So, and it takes time, it takes practice. It might seem fake at first, but becomes your natural default state. You start to reframe everything. It's raining outside. I love the rain. It makes everything fresh. It's green. It's sunny outside. It's so hot outside. It's great. All the grass is going to grow. And, you just reframe it. And what ends up happening is what I like to call the win-win, which is basically you always win. You're always in the, mindset. You have reframed it to you always win, even when other people think you're losing, because you're always taking something from it. And I hope that you can take this tool and put it in your toolbox and use it in your everyday life. I hope that's helpful. I'm Mr. Possible, or will be soon. I'm still working on my name change. I appreciate all the viewers. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. And have a great one. See you tomorrow.